Dylan, can you hear me?
Oh,
Hello, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, nice. You're coming in nice and clear. How's it sound, everybody?
I can hear you perfectly fine. So it's good on my end.
Why don't you give everyone who, for some reason, doesn't know who you are a quick plug?
You know, I'm Dylan Burns. I'm a weapons smuggler in one third of all countries, but that means the majority of countries still don't think I'm a weapons smuggler, so I'm good. But besides being that, I also worked on the Mike Gravel campaign in 2020, which is of relevance considering today's news of his passing. And yeah, I worked on the Mike Gravel campaign. I also worked for Kayla Wilkes and Senator Jill Carter. I'm currently on my city's environmental board and did some organizing with a healthcare workers union.
That's amazing. Again, sorry for your loss. I figured you'd be someone to talk to. I want to thank you first and foremost for being one of the people who gave me the honor of having a conversation with Mike Gravel before he passed.
Yeah, today was a real shock. No, none of us knew that about his health condition. None of us knew that he was going through some medical issues. We still don't really know why or what caused his passing. But I was honored to serve on the campaign. I learned everything I know about modern organizing from that campaign. I wouldn't have anything that I have today politically if it wouldn't be for Mike Gravel and him deciding to take this ambitious Mimi plan to run for president, to prioritize foreign policy in the 2020 election. And it was devastating hearing it this morning. I woke up and I went over to my computer and I just saw just the news bulletin, and it was it was immediately crushing. And I still don't think I've properly processed it, considering he was somebody I looked up to so much. I don't think it's fully hit me yet, and so I'm still trying to come to terms with it.
What made you gravitate towards the Michael Gravel campaign in the first place?
The thing that originally gave me notice, of course, was his prioritization of foreign policy and the fact that his staff was young people, that his campaign was completely full of young activists trying to make a change on a national level at such a young age. And also the ease of accessibility for a lot of people. A lot of campaign staff, it's very almost like a royal family of you have to know these people and know these people if you want to get into this position. But for me, it was me just all I had to do was fill out a form, send it in, and before I knew it, I was appointed deputy state director. And then I was appointed state director and then deputy regional director. I kept climbing the ranks in the campaign before eventually it closed down to the point where I was managing about one third of the country when it came to the campaign.
That's
And
wild.
I really respected that, that it was a merits based campaign. That if you were doing your job well, you would be rewarded. They would bring you up because they wanted the campaign to succeed. And ultimately, even if we didn't get on the debate stage, as was our intention, we did hit the donation goal. We did get to endorse an amazing candidate in Bernie Sanders. We did get to help advise him on foreign policy matters when that endorsement happened. And we did get to prioritize foreign policy with a campaign, and it spiraled out into the Gravel Institute, which right now is an amazing organization that is doing great activism when it comes to informing people. So I enjoyed the ease of accessibility when it came to a merit-based system, when it came to how the campaign was managed, how it was full of amazing young activists like Henry and David. David was also extremely nice when I went through my recent health crisis. He actually reached out and gave his well wishes. And the prioritization of foreign policy in a political space where foreign policy doesn't get as attention, nearly as much attention as it should.
What was the thought going on in the campaign when the devastating announcement came that the DNC was going to bar him from being able to debate and yet would allow a billionaire to buy his way into the same stage?
It was none of us were really completely shocked. I mean, it was obvious hypocrisy. We knew from what we saw, and I still can't say a lot because I don't know what is public information, what isn't. But we all knew from the conversations that we had with the DNC, the conversations we had with people who make these decisions, that it was obvious hypocrisy that he was going to be able to get up there after they were giving us all the reasons as why we shouldn't. Oh, the reason why is because of the polling, or you didn't meet both of the requirements, and we only have so many slots to give, and et cetera, et cetera. But then they were able to bend the rules for Michael Bloomberg, but
Yeah.
they weren't willing to bend the rules for or move at all for Mike Gravel. And it was simply because the man was able to buy his way onto that debate stage. And they did not really want Mike Gravel up there, raising hell like we wanted him to.
Which is just ridiculous.
It was.
What was the atmosphere like working on that campaign? Like, was he present for a lot of the meetings? Because in the Vice documentary hit piece that we were watching, they made it seem as if like he just kept the whole thing at arm's length, and he just wanted to turn you all into social media gurus and win the meme wars kind of idea.
So a lot of people kind of like broadcasted as this idea that he was a puppet and we were puppeteers. Mike Gravel was an unbelievably intelligent man. You and I both talked to him. You saw how smart he was. Even if you don't agree with him on everything, he was an extremely intelligent man. He wouldn't let somebody just take blatant advantage of him because he was lonely or he was not smart enough to see it. He saw the work we wanted to get done, and he agreed with our message. So he wanted to allow us to have a platform and use his decades of experience, his decades of hard work, and his good name, which became a good name through the Pentagon Papers and his amazing anti-war activism, to push the message that he has cared about. When you look at our platform, every single piece of that platform was approved by Mike Gravel. Every single piece of campaign material that we're putting out was, if he disagreed with it and he was being obvious that he disagreed with it, he'd be able to cut it off. While he wasn't present for a lot of these meetings because he knew that it was a porch style campaign, he was not some puppeteer. We were pushing the agenda that he agreed with, and he from seeing his messaging and how he talked about it after, seems to have been very happy that he took part in it.
How influential were the release of the Pentagon Papers to both you and your career, and then the campaign itself?
The Pentagon Papers, of course, is a massive. I saw recently there was going to be this documentary about the Pentagon Papers, and something that angered me is how it doesn't seem like it's going to make Mike Gravel and his prevalence in its release a huge part of the documentary. And that angered me because if it wasn't for Mike Gravel putting himself on the line when it came to if he was going to be imprisoned or not, he would not have. The Pentagon Papers would not have been read into the public record. And he stood up there and read line by line, paragraph by paragraph, the entirety of the Pentagon Papers. So it would be in the public record. I'm sorry if my audio is cutting out for a second. I'm gonna have to cut this short in a second because
no worries.
I'm sorry, I'm just out and about today.
Yeah.
But if it wasn't for him doing that, it wouldn't have been in there. And what that said to me when it comes to Mike Gravel is that tells me that he was a man of integrity to the point that he put himself on the line for people he would never know and see. He would never meet those children in Vietnam that were killed. He would not meet those children in Vietnam that were saved by the Pentagon being put into the public records. In fact, he was risking his political career, his personal reputation, and his own freedom to do it. And what it taught me is not only the importance of anti-war activism and holding our government accountable and transparency, but also the importance of integrity, putting yourself on the line for your values, which is something I'd like to see in a lot more Democrats today.
And streamers.
Yes, and streamers as well.
All right, I know you're in a rush.
Jellyfish, finally jellyfish lands, right?
No, that arc is over now. we're on to strange new ones. Dylan, thank you so much. I know you're like I don't know where you are, maybe Panama or something, but I appreciate
I'm in the streets of Panama. Yeah, doing the weapons days.
Do you want to do one last plug before you have to go?
Sure. You can find me at DylanBurnsTV. That's DylanBurnsTV. I'm currently in Panama in a war zone. But if you want to catch some DylanBurnsTV content, you can go there. If you want to follow me on Twitter, that's DylanBurns1776. You can also find me on YouTube. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Bye.
Bye.